Hi everyone, my name is Ankita Jagtiani and I'm an internationally certified life and youth leadership coach. I started my practice in 2019 after a 5-year career in the hospitality and events industry. I coach individuals up to the age of 30, ranging from school kids, college kids, to young professionals and team leaders to find their passion, to find their purpose, and most importantly, the happiness within. I work with agencies and startups to coach their team to bring out the best potential by engaging in personal and professional development. The teams I've coached have seen a difference in the mindset of their colleagues, leading to more efficient work, to more effective work, and to better results. People have been more aware of themselves, of their behaviors, leading to being more empathetic in the work environment. They're managing their time and themselves better.